Obsidian said something very astute today on the Bernard Riley show, and they were talking about the election, and the topic of Ice Cube came up. And I felt that Obsidian said something that was very profound regarding Ice Cube. And Obsidian said that, Ice Cube did not anticipate, the pushback that he would get from black women. But also he didn't, he wasn't sophisticated enough to understand that in this day and age, black women have their own political interests. Black women and black men actually have their own separate political interests now. Okay. And how black women see themselves, Obsidian went on to explain how black women see themselves as their own, how should I say it? They see themselves as their own political entity, and they have for quite some time in this country now. Okay, for quite some time now, at least the last 30 years, ever since the 70s, black women have seen themselves as their own distinct group that has its own distinct interest, and they have proceeded to protest and pursue their own interests separate of black men. So when black women, say black community, what they really are talking about is themselves and how they see themselves as their own entity, and I thought that was very sharp of Obsidian to point that out and to explain that, because these celebrities and stuff these days, celebrities are really behind the curve when it comes to a lot of things, when it comes to a lot of social development and stuff like that. Now, we in the manosphere, we've known for years, that black women have seen themselves as their own political entity and stuff. It's only now starting to become very visible. Okay, so we've known that for years, but Ice Cube thought that he was just going to show up, show who he's supporting, and and whatnot. And, these chicks were just supposed to just fall in line. They're supposed to just all fall in line and shit. Like, this is 1989, and he at the peak of fucking NWA and shit. And, you got all the groupies and shit, hanging around him and NWA. Those days are over, man. Okay? Those days are over, bro. These chicks nowadays, man, they got their own jobs, they got their own cars, they got their own education, they got their own businesses, okay, and stuff now. They got their own shit now, okay, and they are free to, proceed in the world however they see fit. Okay, they are not just compelled to follow you, Ice Cube, just because you pop up and say, hey, I'm Ice Cube and I'm supporting, such and such. Okay, the world the world has progressed and advanced, and I feel that at least the most that can come off of this, at least Ice Cube can learn from this, and maybe he can go back and retool his message and come back later. But my opinion, I don't think he should have mentioned black women, period. When he went on that little panel with all those other black females that were from Hollywood and they was all against them and shit, it's my understanding that he helped put at least two of them on. I don't know their names because I don't follow celebrities like that. You know what I mean? But he thought that he was just going to show up and these chicks was just going to get in line with him, and he didn't anticipate, what he was going to be faced with. Okay. So, but it was very, very good of Obsidian to point that stuff out. Okay, it was very astute of Obsidian to point that out. You know, and these celebrities and stuff, that they're very much so behind the curve. Very much so. You know, and there's a lot of learning that these celebrities and stuff need to do, okay, just so they can even begin to understand the realities on the ground out here. Okay. You know, so that's how I felt about that. But I thought that was very sharp of Obsidian. That was very astute of him to actually go ahead and point that out. Okay. So that it could be documented. Okay, so that from this point moving forward, we now have a reference point. There's a strong reference point of what to deal with. And as I was saying, he should not have addressed the women. He should have only addressed black men. He should have only addressed issues that affect black men. You know, mass incarceration, education. You know, he could have talked about business ownership with black men. He could have talked about, you know, young black men who want to get into the music industry and that kind of thing. He could have focused on that. There were a lot of just straight black male issues he could have just focused on that would have been way more beneficial than going and talking to those females, man. And he should have talked about Trump's policies in relation to black men. That's what he should have done. You know what I mean? But for whatever reason, he didn't do that. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. With that being said, let me know what y'all think. Get the likes up. Thank you for your support. Peace.